Hey guys, Tyler here in the dark forest.
One of the topics I've wanted to cover for quite a while on this channel is the three-body problem. And no, I'm not talking about when your girlfriend wants an open relationship. The novel The Three-Body Problem, part of the Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy by Chinese author Liu Cixin, depicts Earth's response to an impending invasion by an alien civilization. These aliens, called the Trisolarans in the novel and the Santi in the American Netflix adaptation, hail from a planet with an unstable orbit in the Alpha Centauri system.
The three-body problem has gained international recognition and praise over the past decade,
and is credited with helping popularize the dark forest hypothesis, the idea that alien civilizations remain silent for fear of being destroyed by other hostile civilizations. Remembrance of Earth's Past has such a rich, dense timeline that's hard to condense into one YouTube video.
So today, I'd like to highlight some of the major aspects of the three-body problem's lore, comparing it to our expectations about aliens in real life. Let's get started. Before we go any further, I'd like to take a moment to talk to you about today's sponsor, Fume. Now, you might not know this, but smoking is actually a big part of the characterization of lots of people in the Three-Body Problem series. But think about this. Have you ever caught yourself reaching for a bad habit without thinking about it? Whether it's out of stress, boredom, you name it. Well, that's where Fume comes in. It's not about quitting, it's about replacing. Flavored air is quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping and smoking, and Fume is at the forefront. Fume is an award-winning flavored air device that lets you break away from bad habits while still having something to reach for. Fume brings flavor to your mouth through a passive diffusion system, but doesn't use vapor, meaning you can use it anywhere. No nicotine, so it's not addictive. And no batteries, so you'll never have to charge it. The device's sleek, high-quality wooden design makes it feel premium in your hand, and the magnetic fidget makes it perfect for stress relief or staying focused. If vapor were compared to sticky soda, Fume cores are closer to herbal teas. They've got lots of delicious flavors to choose from, like crisp mint and orange vanilla. Based on my channel name, you can probably tell which one piqued my interest the most. Fume is backed by doctors in the US, and over 700,000 people have added Fume to their daily routine. It's easy to see why. It's simple and satisfying. And right now, if you order the Journey Pack using my code OrangeRiver, you'll get a free Fume topper. So if you've been thinking about changing your habits, this is the perfect first step. Go to tryfume.com/OrangeRiver or scan the QR code on screen to grab yours today. Now, back to the video. First off, this video might contain some spoilers for what happens in the Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy,
Although I'll try to avoid major spoilers about lots of the characters, for instance.
Mostly, I'll discuss some of the details surrounding the aliens, their homeworld, the invasion, their technology, etc. While Santi is easier to say, since the main aliens in the three-body problem are referred to in the novel's English translations and most adaptations as the Trisolarans, I'll use that name for this video. Normally, this is where I'd start exploring the biology of the Trisolarans, how they evolved, how their environment affects their physiology, etc. Except we don't really know what the Trisolarans look like. Descriptions in the novel are somewhat ambiguous, and there's a running fan theory, though not universally accepted, that they may be insect-like, being individually no larger than a grain of rice.
This description comes from the book The Redemption of Time, published as the fourth book in the series, but of dubious canon. But the Chinese television adaptation presents them as tall, ghostly figures that communicate with patterns of visible light. This depiction is said to be a reconstruction based on known data about the Trisolarans, and it seems a decent estimate of what they probably look like. Their communication method is somewhat analogous to the chromatophores in the skin of animals like the octopus. A particular consequence is that, as a result of their biology, because they cannot shield their thoughts from others, it is biologically impossible for Trisolarans to lie or keep secrets when in the presence of other Trisolarans. The fact that humans can do both of these things deeply frightens the Trisolarans, who, upon learning this, decide humans are too dangerous to coexist with.
We are afraid of you.
As the Trisolaran emissary to Earth says, any species that does not fear risks extinction.
And the Trisolarans have a pretty compelling reason for wanting to make their way towards our star system.
Their homeworld of Trisolaris is subject to unpredictable gravitational forces from the 3 sun-like stars it orbits. This instability is where the name Three-Body Problem comes from.
Hey, that's the name of the show.
In reality, Alpha Centauri consists of a pair of a G and cooler K-type star with a period of 79 years, their distance varying between 11 and 35 astronomical units in a quite eccentric, elliptical but still stable orbit. And the third, the red dwarf Proxima Centauri, orbits even further out, about 13,000 AU. But while a habitable planet could theoretically possess a stable circular orbit around all these stars, Trisolaris experiences cycles that alternate between extreme hot or cold and a comfortable environment that's conducive to life. These periods are referred to as chaotic and stable eras by the Trisolarans. Trisolaris' natives have evolved hundreds of separate civilizations, all destroyed by chaotic eras. Members of the species who dehydrate themselves, much like tardigrades, can be rehydrated when a stable era arrives, and Trisolarans can pass memories down genetically to offspring to preserve knowledge between generations. But even with these advantages, the worst of the chaotic eras tore the planet in two and formed a massive moon, with civilization not re-emerging for 90 million years.
It's for this reason, Trisolaris' lack of a long-term stable climate, that Trisolaran technological development is exceptionally slower than humanity's.
Trisolaris has no set day or year length, and eventually its inhabitants expect the planet to crash into one of its suns, as has happened with 11 other planets in the Alpha Centauri system. The certainty of their civilization's eventual destruction makes the Trisolarans incredibly hostile to other intelligent life, and they are desperate to leave. 8 years after Chinese astrophysicist Ye Wenji sends a radio message from Red Coast Base at Radar Peak, she receives a reply from a pacifistic radio operator on Trisolaris who warns her not to answer, since if she does, Trisolaris will be able to locate Earth and humanity will be conquered. But Wenji responds anyway, saying humanity cannot save itself, and vowing to help the Trisolarans conquer Earth. In the 1960s, she saw her father killed during a struggle session at Tsinghua University in Beijing during the Cultural Revolution. Following this and a series of other betrayals, her increasing misanthropy motivates her to make a decision that will have consequences lasting until the end of time. It's now the early 1980s. Reagan's president, MTV has aired its first music video, and Civilization number 9478 on Trisolaris has developed interstellar spaceflight, presumably during a longer than average stable era. After receiving Ye Wenji's response, the Trisolarans set their sights on Earth. Within a few years, they construct a massive colonization fleet composed of thousands of city-sized spaceships and direct it towards the solar system. This fleet would take centuries to arrive, theoretically giving humanity time to prepare,
although, as we see in the novels, this turns out to be a little more complicated.
In anticipation of contact with humanity, Trisolaran leadership constructs a series of sophons, or sentient protons, that can travel to Earth at light speed and transmit data back in real time. The Trisolarans determine that, while they possess technological superiority over humanity at present, in the 400 years until they reach Earth, humans could far outpace the Trisolarans, spelling certain doom for their fleet. The sophons are designed as countermeasures to slow down Earth's technological progress until the fleet arrives. The creation of a sophon involves unfolding a proton's extra dimensions using a particle accelerator ring, turning the proton into a sheet with the width of a whole planet. Using the strong interaction force, circuits are then etched onto the sheet before it is folded back into a proton, which now functions as a quantum computer. After reaching Earth, the sophon scrambles particle accelerators, forcing them to deliver false and inaccurate results after a collision experiment is conducted. The sophon also functions as a spy device, enabling human collaborators to establish contact with Trisolaris. The only thing the sophon can't read is human thoughts. To exploit this, the United Nations establishes what is called the Wallfacer Program, with select individuals granted vast resources to develop and enact their own defense plans on the condition they do not share their plans with others. To counter this, the human loyalists to the Trisolarans select wall breakers to undermine Earth government's strategies to defend against the invasion. In the last book of the trilogy, Death's End, the Sophon sent to Earth also controls a physical robot body with disturbingly human-like emotions, indicating the proton's transformation into a quantum computer also laid the foundation for it to have consciousness. The revelation among humanity in the three-body problem universe that aliens exist has major sociological repercussions. Before the Trisolarans reveal themselves to the general public, though, they first make contact with select humans to help aid their plans. While working at Red Coast Base, which is located in the Chinese autonomous region of Inner Mongolia, Ye Wenji meets Mike Evans, son of a wealthy oil magnate. Mike Evans is attempting to save a species of swallow from extinction and lectures the Red Army engineers about human arrogance. Ye Wenji vows to try and stop the construction of a laboratory on the site. Years later, Wenji, now a professor, meets Mike at a restaurant in London and tells Mike all about the Trisolarans. Mike, who has inherited his father's company, uses his newfound wealth and influence to buy an oil tanker called Judgment Day and runs a fifth column organization of human loyalists to the Trisolarans. Judgment Day is equipped with a giant satellite dish Evans uses to communicate with the Trisolarans, reading them fairy tales to help them better understand human culture. It's at this point that Evans makes the mistake of revealing humans can lie, following which the Trisolarans, who were going to conquer Earth anyway, abandon any remaining intent of peaceful coexistence, even with their human followers. Retrieving records of Evans' contact with the Trisolarans is the goal of a secret naval operation that tests the strength of state-of-the-art nanofibers, resulting in one of the more memorable scenes from the Netflix series, which I can't really show on YouTube. Certainly another entry in the long list of examples of governments taking new inventions and turning them into weapons. But another part of this fifth column's activities around the world sees strange VR headsets gifted to various scientists, military members, and various other high-status individuals. The headsets are generations beyond our modern technology and perform a variety of advanced tasks like retinal scanning and monitoring brain and heart activity. But the game that the wearers play has ultra-realistic graphics and tactile feedback. This is far beyond what GTA will look like in 2018. This is full immersion virtual reality, or FIVR, which some believe may be possible in a few decades using nanobots that attach to our nervous systems to create the intended simulated effects.
But such technology will likely be considered far too invasive to pass regulatory muster.
And indeed, the three-body headsets can identify a person's heritage to create custom skins within the game. A recruitment tool, the three-body game consists of levels based on the history of Trisolaris, but using equivalent human civilizations that evolved on Earth for relatability, and the objective is not only to deduce the nature of the three-body problem itself, but to save members of the Trisolaran civilization from dying. If at least one of them survives between eras, they all survive. After characters in the series learn about the Sophons, the Trisolarans reveal themselves to all of humanity, causing mass panic, rioting, and an increase in but groups of humans also form religious cults to worship the Trisolarans. I've discussed several times on this channel how different science fiction stories portray humanity after we learn about the existence of extraterrestrials, and one of the more common tropes involves us putting aside our differences and working together, whether it's toward a positive utopian future like in Star Trek, or a more authoritarian future like in lots of other franchises.
The three-body problem definitely fits into the latter category.
The knowledge that the Trisolarans will arrive in less than 400 years results in humanity shifting its scientific, military, and economic resources towards planetary defense, the only type of science that gets funding during this period.
While the present of the first novel is set largely in the late 2000s and early 2010s, the Netflix series taking place in 2024 is pretty appropriate given the current political climate in the United States, where science funding is under even more of a threat than it has been in generations.
Although the impending arrival of the Trisolaran fleet is evidently what prompts us to finally build a moon base, so there's that. And while as of the making of this video, the Netflix series has yet to venture beyond the present day into the novel series' far future, the timeline of post-contact human history is dense and contains multiple periods of peace and conflict during the Trisolaran fleet's centuries-long voyage. One era sees environmentalism outlawed as a crime against humanity, with environmentalists considered traitors for questioning increasingly dictatorial governments' fixation on planetary defense. Of course, all of humanity's resources going into building Earth's defense fleet accelerates ecological collapse, leading to the deaths of nearly 5 billion humans. A more prosperous era emerges from this so-called Great Ravine, with the wall-facers helping humanity develop deterrence tactics, though these are short-lived and the Trisolarans are still able to devastate Earth before being targeted by another alien civilization themselves. In the end, for all the Trisolarans' technological prowess, they cannot overcome the harsh realities of the Dark Forest. Earth must continue to survive in the Dark Forest too, which presents major challenges even as we continue to advance.
It may seem rather unexpected in sci-fi that a civilization that lacks faster-than-light propulsion could have so much control over higher dimensional physics. But the fact is, many scientists believe we're far more likely to be able to manipulate fundamental particles on increasingly smaller scales long before we develop fast interstellar travel.
As I've discussed in multiple other videos, one alternative to the famous Kardashev scale that measures a civilization's level of technological advancement based on its energy use is microdimensional mastering. Proposed by astronomer John D. Barrow, the so-called anti-Kardashev scale extends downwards from type 1-, capable of manipulating macroscale objects, down to type Omega-, capable of manipulating the fundamental structure of space-time. The Trisolarans would likely be type 5-, as they are able to engineer the nucleons that compose atomic nuclei, including, you guessed it, protons and neutrons. The last Trisolaran civilization to evolve before their fleet left for Earth invented a ring-shaped particle accelerator that could harness vast energies into a single proton to create the sophons, which maintain real-time communication even over light years via the real process of quantum entanglement. That said, while quantum entanglement has some notable applications in computing, it can't actually be used for faster-than-light communication, but maybe the Trisolarans figured out a way to get around that. In any event, Trisolarans have used all their energy to construct the sophons, and their invasion fleet is capable of traveling at 1% light speed.
Breaking the light speed barrier may be physically impossible, as not only does an object or information traveling faster than a photon violate the laws of physics,
but even concepts like the Alcubierre drive that expand and contract space around a warp bubble might not work for a variety of other reasons having to do with quantum mechanics. While the energy requirements for such a drive are no longer thought to be unobtainably large, a complete theory of quantum gravity could eliminate solutions in general relativity that the Alcubierre drive exploits, like backwards time travel. On the other hand, our continued investigation of the quantum world, using higher and higher energy particle accelerators, could yield knowledge and technologies that revolutionize life on Earth.
I should clarify, of course, that it's unknown if extra dimensions do exist.
We often think of our normal space-time as being four-dimensional, having 3 axes of movement and 1 time direction. But models like M-theory, a type of superstring theory, posit the existence of up to 11 dimensions to explain things like where gravity comes from, given its relative weakness compared to the other fundamental forces. Models like this suggest that higher dimensions could be compactified to give the appearance of fewer dimensions, only revealing themselves upon inspection of smaller and smaller quantum scales. This is likely the inspiration behind the Trisolarans' techniques in creating sophon technology, given it involves unfolding a proton into 3D space. Other alien civilizations in the three-body problem also remember a time when our universe apparently had extra dimensions, which have since been collapsed into our familiar 3 by repeated attacks. One such method is the dimension strike, a punitive tool that can force matter into a lower dimensional state that is thought to be impossible to recover from. Another method may be through the use of death lines, when light-speed ships rip holes in the fabric of space-time to create regions where the speed of light is zero. At least one civilization, the Zero Homers, hope to use death lines to collapse reality into zero dimensions and trigger another Big Bang. Unfortunately for superstring theorists, experiments such as ones carried out by the Large Hadron Collider have revealed no physical evidence of higher dimensions, which has led some physicists to abandon the concept altogether.
This is part of the reason I don't really buy string theory. While it's by definition mathematically self-consistent, the lack of strong experimental evidence thus far, to me, indicates that we should maybe be looking in different places. But more important to the world of the three-body problem is the concept of the dark forest itself.
Liu Cixin didn't invent the hypothesis, as it's been presented as a possible solution to the Fermi Paradox since at least the 1980s.
But I also find the dark forest hypothesis to be quite far-fetched.
Just as it's been suggested that aliens are not guaranteed to share our same concepts of curiosity or peaceful contact, it's also not guaranteed that they're as violent as we are. Evolution on Earth is a matter of competition, but it's also a matter of cooperation. Professor David Kipping over at Homeworld's lab made an excellent video about why he doesn't buy the dark forest hypothesis, which you should definitely check out. Link in the description. Essentially, if we view the dark forest hypothesis as a version of game theory, where players have limited knowledge of the other's choices and strategies, typically survival is considered the only win condition. Each player would have 3 possible actions: destroying another player, broadcasting and alerting other civilizations to one's existence, or doing nothing. But as Professor Kipping points out, this assumes that peaceful contact will never be successful, which is an incredibly pessimistic scenario. It is, of course, in line with Liu Cixin's concept of a zero-sum morality in his sci-fi settings.
The three-body problem features a concept called cosmic sociology, which rests on 3 axioms, which I'll paraphrase.
Number 1, suppose the universe is filled with a vast number of civilizations that make up the body of cosmic society. Number 2, suppose that survival is a civilization's primary need. And number 3, suppose that civilizations continually expand over time, even though the total amount of matter in the universe remains constant. The only logical conclusion, Ye Wenji says, is that any civilization that reveals itself will be considered an imminent existential threat by at least a fraction of other civilizations, some of which will proceed to destroy the civilization that has made itself known. An alien character in the trilogy's 3rd book, called Singer, suggests that intelligent life that doesn't fear the dark forest will expand and attack without fear, meaning only civilizations that stay quiet are benign.
Once again, the problem with this is that it precludes civilizations from cooperating to thwart potential threats in the form of other aggressive alien civilizations.
Civilizations that actually pose a threat to humanity could be incredibly rare in the galaxy for a number of reasons. Realistically, the set of motivations that would lead an alien civilization to invade another could doom that civilization to extinction before it becomes a threat. Stephen Hawking suggested that human interstellar expansion might be impossible without genetic alteration to reduce or eliminate aggression from our species. An expansionist civilization might also hit an energy wall before they possess the capability to colonize inhabited star systems. And what's more, there's the fact that intelligent life may be very rare throughout the galaxy or even the universe, and complex life itself could only be sustainable in a fraction of star systems that are supposedly capable of hosting habitable planets.
All of this is to say, I don't think the forest is dark because the universe is full of hostile intelligences. I think it's dark because we may be the only ones looking right now. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments.
Also, how would you respond to an alien civilization revealing itself to Earth?
Personally, I think such an event would be the perfect opportunity to test what we all believe our purpose to be, which is something I live every day making these videos. So let me know that down below as well.
The three-body problem is one of the most interesting sci-fi universes I've ever learned about, and there are so many other things I could talk about. The details of Project Red Coast, the nanofibers, solar sails, nuclear pulse propulsion, the droplets, you name it.
So let me know if you'd like to see more three-body problem content in the future. With that, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below and don't forget to share it. That stuff really helps me out. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do that as well so you won't miss future uploads, and click the bell icon to receive all notifications. If you want to support my work even further, you can become a patron at patreon.com/OrangeRiver, link in the description, or become a YouTube member by clicking the join button on my channel page. By becoming a patron or member, you also get access to awesome perks like behind the scenes photos and videos, patron and member only polls, name in the credits, merch discounts, and more. Or you can drop a one-time super thanks or PayPal donation. All are appreciated. Links to my PayPal, as well as my social media and merch store, are in the description too. Also, just as a reminder, I do have a second channel, OrangeRiver Plus, where I've uploaded the VODs of lots of my gaming streams, with more on the way. And in addition to some other goofy one-offs and extra behind-the-scenes content, I've officially made it my second streaming platform, so be sure to subscribe there too, so you don't miss any new content. And big thanks once again to Fume for sponsoring today's video. That's all I have for this week. And remember, we're not bugs!